This is Royce Kennebrew. I had to do a video directly for this graphic that I created because it is a very important area that a lot of educators, teachers don't get right or they complain about when I'm with them. I go into schools since the pandemic several hundred times. And I was a fourth grade teacher, fifth grade teacher. I was a classroom teacher. I was an administrator and athletic director, coach, and all that good stuff. And so a lot of teachers don't understand administration. They think that administration, to some extent, is supposed to do their job. And so the first bullet point that I have is basics. If you want to get along well with administration, you have to do your job. You have to come on time. You have to leave on time. You have to turn in all of the paperwork that you need to turn in, whether it's your lesson plans, whether whatever is going on at the school, you got to have that stuff in on time. The other thing is that you need to keep students inside of your classroom. Listen to me very closely. If your students are in the office or with administration, that means administration is doing part of your job. Let me say this again. Anytime when a student is with administration because you cannot manage them in your classroom, they are doing your job. Now, do you want to split your check with administration? I know you don't. And a lot of people say, well, administration doesn't support me. They don't support me in particular with behavior. And you know what you're saying to me? You are unable to manage the students in your classroom so that they all stay in your classroom. You haven't built enough positive relationships, strong relationships with students to keep them in your classroom. Are students a lot in particular right now? Absolutely. I go into schools where I'm not the teacher, where they just learn my name and figure out who I am. So I do understand that part. But keep kids in your classroom, build strong relationships with them, and they will, and you can keep them in your classroom. Go and look at an earlier graphic and video where I talked about creating relationships. It's relationships. It's relationships. In real estate, it's location, location, location. In managing students and parents, it is relationships. The next thing is make and keep parents happy. Make positive behavior phone calls home. Over communicate. Let parents know what's going on. Do not allow a student to miss a lot of class, miss a lot of assignments, be about to fail, and this report card or progress report time, and that progress report come out, and a lot of parents are going to say, I didn't know that they were. Now, do parents have more resources than our parents ever did to check on our grades? Absolutely. Is part of it the parent's problem? Absolutely. But the parent can make your job difficult by going to administration and complaining about you. So you want to over communicate. You want to keep them happy. You want to make positive phone calls home. You want to do everything that you can. Have something positive at parent teacher conference to say about their child before you talk about how poor they are, behavior wise and academically. And then finish by saying something positive. That's called the hamburger method. The bread is the good stuff. The meat is what you have to talk to them about. So definitely do that. The last thing is a lot of educators want to be going to administration. So here's what you got to do. And listen, this is what was my story. I went from teacher of the year in my school to dean of students on our campus at our middle school. And then on our campus, I got another promotion to assistant principal and athletic director of the whole campus and of the assistant principal of the high school. And here is how I did it. I solved problems and I didn't cause them. When there's something to volunteer for, I volunteered. I did more than what I was paid for. I would pick up paper sometimes, even though that's the janitor's problem. I would scoot a chair here. I would, whatever I saw that needs to be done, even though it might have been somebody else's job. If I was in the lunchroom, I'm not walking over a piece of pizza on the floor. I'm just not going to do it. And that was really the reason that I was able to be promoted and was able to do so well in administration. So get your credentials, whatever it is, whether it's an ed leadership, ed specialty, and in leadership certification. Get your master's if you don't have it. If you want to get your doctorate, that's even going to help you even more if you want to go into administration. So definitely make sure that you do those things. That's what administration wants. Administration does not want to do your job. So that's the thing that you got to remember. Administration doesn't want to do your job. They're in administration because they don't want to teach anymore. They don't want to have the problem that the teachers have. That's the quickest way to get yourself fired, get in trouble, is to too much burn up administration's time too much. You think, well, administration is supposed to do da-da-da-da. Yeah, they are. But you're going to get some, remember, administration, your assistant principal, your dean of students, your dean of coaches, your assistant principals, they are human beings. The less they have to deal with your mess, the more support you're going to get from them. It's very simple, very easy. The less of your mess they have to deal with. Don't say out of the way stuff to students. Don't allow students to get under your skin. I was using social and emotional learning core competencies and didn't know. I was building positive relationship. I was relationship building all the time with my students and my parents. I was making responsible decisions, and I was self-aware about how I was feeling, and I wouldn't let kids get under my skin. I wouldn't take it personal. And then I was able to manage myself. I wouldn't yell. I wouldn't scream. I wouldn't do things that would cause administration to have to get involved. Sometimes kids would bust a sprog and they would just do what they had to do. In those cases, yes. I think out of all of the years that I taught, I maybe wrote up 3 or 4 kids. The entire time, my mindset was, I'm going to deal with this problem. This problem is going to stay in my classroom. And I would even make it like, listen, I'm not calling your mama unless I had to. I'm not bugging your mom. Your mama got stuff to do. So we're going to handle this in here. You mess around in here, give me your recess time. You mess around in here, give me your lunch time. You mess around in here, give me your gym time. The trip that we're about to go on, you ain't going. You stay in here. That's how you handle business inside your classroom. That's what administration wants from you. I understand that kids are challenging. I understand that parents are challenging. I understand the paperwork load. I understand all of that stuff. Believe me, I did it for years. Close to 20 years. I got 20 years of educational experience, and in the classroom, 15 years. I know exactly what you're dealing with. But that's what administration wants. And if you can give administration what they want, I promise you, you're going to get more support on them. But if I can boil this down to 1 or 2 things, you got to build strong relationships with your students and with your parents. That's going to decrease the problems that administration is going to have from you. And that's going to help you out in the long haul. And that is going to help you if you want to move on into administration. This is Royce Kennebrew coming with you with some stuff about administration that is so vitally important. I have a program that is going to be starting very soon for educators based on the issues and the concerns that they have expressed to me that they have. So we're going to be talking about an understanding trauma. We're going to be talking about building relationships. We're going to be talking about these things about administration and get deep down into the weeds about administration, what they want, how to deal with them, and things that you could do every day. We're going to be talking about how you teach the pedagogy, how you infuse social and emotional learning into your pedagogy and use it in your classroom all the time. And we're going to be talking about how to build these strong relationships with parents. These things I'm talking about so you can teach, so you won't be burned out, so you won't have all that anxiety. So when Sunday comes around and you can finish looking at the football games or doing your lesson plans or what have you, you're not stressed out that you got to go back to work on Monday. So that will be coming up very shortly. Again, this is Royce Kennebrew. We'll talk to you and see you soon.